chapter knowledge area that we're going to talk about, and it is a knowledge area that encompasses all other knowledge areas. يعني all other knowledge areas relate to this knowledge area. The learning objectives, we're going to talk about integration management throughout the project phases. So we're going to talk about integration management in planning, in execution, in monitoring, controlling, and in closing. Of course, initiation as well. So we're going to talk about integration management in the life cycle in general. We're going to talk about the importance of strategic planning when we choose or when we select the project, the right project for the organization. We're going to talk about the project charter and its importance. Then we're going to talk about the project management plan in planning and explain how planning and execution relate. Also, we're going to talk about monitoring and controlling and the importance of integrated change control process. We're going to talk about that in details. It's an important process. And then we're going to talk about the good procedures for closing down the project that is relevant to integration knowledge area. And finally, we're going to talk about software that can help in integration management. Now, the key to overall project success is good project integration management, which means that if the project manager has a trouble in looking at the big picture um, um, and wants only to focus on details, this will mean that they do not have an integration management knowledge area. So the integration management area means that the project manager needs to be able to coordinate all other knowledge areas throughout the project lifecycle, thinking in an integrated manner. Now, project integration management processes, these are the processes that involve applying integration management throughout the project phases. Now, developing the project charter is actually an integration management process, which means that we create a document, which is the project charter, with the stakeholders, and the output of this process is actually the charter, the document. Developing the project management plan, which involves coordinating all planning. So we have different plans. We have cost we have financial plans, we have scheduling plans, we have human resources plans, we have communication plans. Now, all of these plans need to be coordinated together, and the way to do that is through integration management. Also, during the execution, integration management means that we direct and manage the project work, which means that we ensure that the project work is carried out according to the plan. Monitoring controlling means that we want to see the activities conducted throughout the project and how they actually are conducted. Performing integrated change control is actually part of monitoring controlling. So it's about identifying, evaluating, and managing changes throughout the project lifecycle. And this is what we call the integrated change control. Any changes that can take place within the project should be managed through a very strict process, and we're going to talk about that in details. And finally, closing the project is also an integrated activity, which means that we want to make sure that all project activities are finalized. So this is a chart that you will see in all knowledge areas, explaining in each project phase what are the processes that belong to this knowledge area. So for project integration management, in initiation, developing the project charter. In planning, developing the project management plan. In execution, it is to direct and manage project work. In monitoring and controlling, it is monitoring and controlling project work and performing integrated change control. And in closing as well, we apply integration management. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about the importance of strategic planning and its relation to project selection. We agreed that strategic planning involves determining long-term objectives of the organization. So how are we, or where do we want to see the organization in the next 5 years or in the next 10 years? And we agreed that strategic plans are important guide in project selection, because the project, when it is selected, it needs to serve these strategic plans. And strategic planning is actually about the future and predicting the future and trying to satisfy the organization needs through projects that will satisfy the future strategic plans. Now, when we select, or when we try to select a project, we can perform different types of analysis, and we're going to discuss that in details. The first part, or the first type of analysis, is SWOT analysis, which means that the organization will analyze its strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. We're not going to go through SWOT analysis in details, and I'm sure that you're going to cover that in other business-related courses. Also, as part of the strategic plan, when we are thinking about the strategic goals of the organization, the organization needs to identify potential projects that will support the strategic plan. They will use also methods for selecting the projects that to be worked on, and we're going to talk about that. And we also make sure that we have a formal start of starting a project by the project's charter. Now, methods for selecting projects. There are many methods for selecting projects, and the reason that we need to select projects is that usually there is many projects that want or are proposed to be run. So we need to find a way to actually prioritize, to think about which project to do and when. So this is very important, because organizations often have many projects available that needs to be developed, and once they are there, they need to select the best suitable project to run. And the reason for this is that organizations cannot run all projects because they need funding for that. They need money for that. They cannot keep investing in projects without making revenue. Now, methods for selecting projects include, first of all, just the simple focus on organizational needs. What is the priority right now? We don't have an internet connection. Okay, that's the priority. So we want to establish internet connection. So this is a priority. It's definitely a priority over buying, let's say, over buying expensive computers that run in high speed, while we don't even have the essential, which is internet connection. Also, another way is by categorizing information technology projects. So we will divide IT projects into categories, and we're going to discuss that in a minute. Also, performing financial analysis like net present value, payback analysis, and we're going to talk about it in a minute. And finally, using the weight scoring model, and also we're going to talk about this model and explain it. Now, first of all, when we talk about organizational needs, we need to actually think about the project. Is it a need? Is there a need for the project, or is it just something that will make things look better? But is there a real need for it? Also, are there enough funding for it, for that project? And is there a strong will from the organization to make it succeed? So if these three important criteria exist, then this project may qualify to be a good project to work on. Now, in generally regarding IT projects, it is hard to justify the need for IT projects, especially if those who are working in the organization is kind of old-fashioned. They do not recognize the importance of IT projects. The thing is, we always have to think about these three criteria before actually selecting a project. Now, the second method for selecting project is by categorizing an IT project. So we want to categorize the project according to its importance or its relevance to the organization. So is it going to address a problem? Do we have a problem and this project will solve it? Or will it present an opportunity or a directive? The opportunity meaning that it will actually bring benefit to the organization, or a directive, which means that it will change the direction of the organization. So other categorization can be based on how long it will take to do and when is it needed. So there are different types of categorization. Another way to categorize the project is using overall priority of the project. Does it have a high priority? Now, I need you to think in a couple of seconds and decide about what category is your project. What category do you think your project? Is it a problem, an opportunity, or a directive? And then we're going to discuss that. The third way of selecting projects is using financial analysis. So we think of projects in terms of financial analysis. So there are three main ways of determining the financial value of the project. We have the net present value analysis, we have the return on investment, and we also have the payback analysis. NPV, or net present value analysis, means that what is the current worth in terms of money with respect to a discount rate. It's a value that varies from organization to another. So what is the current financial worth of the organization, of the project? Return on investment is actually a formula. It subtracts costs from benefits and divided by costs. So you will calculate the costs and then you subtract benefits from costs and you divide it by cost. And this will actually give you a number which is the ROI, or return on investment. The third way is payback analysis, and it actually calculates how long does it take for the project to return, to give us money, to return or to recoup the invested amount, to give back the money. If you remember from the case study, we said that it should pay back all its investment within 1 year. So they wanted to they want the return on investment, or sorry, they want the payback of the project to be 12 months or 1 year. Now, net present value is actually a financial way of calculating the expected net monetary gain, monetary means money, the expected net monetary gain or loss from a project. And we do that by discounting all expected future cash inflow and outflow to the present point of time. So NPV is actually about the current value of the product. So we actually calculate the expected net monetary money gain or loss, okay, from a certain project. And we do that by calculating or by discounting expected future cash inflow and outflow. inflow معناها cash داخل, outflow معناها cash أو فلوس spent. Okay, so when we do that and when we calculate the NPV, we should get a value. We actually want projects that have a positive NPV, and the higher the NPV, the better. Now, NPV is actually has a formula, and we are not concerned regarding this formula at all. But I need you to understand how do we calculate what kind of information do we need in order to calculate the NPV. And Excel actually has a ready formula for NPV, so you'll find it in Excel, but that's out of the scope of our course. So here we have project 1 and project 2, and we have both of them will last for 5 years, okay? And we will be counting the benefits and the costs for each year, okay? So benefits for project 1 is 0, costs is 5,000. The cash flow, when it is actually between brackets like that, means it is negative 5,000. So for first year, we will have a negative 5,000. We will be only spending money. For the second year, we will have a little bit more benefit and also cost, but the cash flow will be positive, which means that we will have an extra 1,000. The third year, the fourth year, and the fifth year all continues at the same. The total actually of the benefits is 14,000 and the cost is 9,000. When we calculate the cash flow, the total, it is 5,000, because it's 14 minus 9, it's 5,000. Now, when we do the same calculation for project 2, we will find that we also end up with $5,000 as the total cash flow for all years. However, if we calculate the NPV formula, so it is here 3,201 and here is 2,316, then we will find that project 2 is better. Both of them are positive, which is good, but project 2 has more value of money. Now, to calculate that NPV, we actually use the discount rate, and the discount rate here is 10%, and it is different from one organization to another. So some organizations will be 10%, some will be 5%. However, we do not really concern about how the discount rate is actually calculated. The return on investment is, as I said, it's a formula. We calculate the total discounted benefits minus the total discounted cost divided by the discounted cost. Now, the number that we actually get from the return on investment is, it's always positive, hopefully, okay, but the higher the better. So we always want a higher return on investment. And some organizations, when they want to select a certain project, they calculate the return on investment, and the higher they have a required rate of return. So they have a minimum ROI. They have a minimum return on investment. If that is not achieved by the project, it is not going to be selected. Payback analysis, as I said, it is a period of time. How long will the the project lasts before it will actually produce benefits. And this means that actually paybacks occur when we have the discounted benefits equaling the discounted cost, which means that the project is spending exactly the same as the cost is actually bringing. Now, of course, all organizations want the shortest period of payback for projects. So this is the payback. These are the benefits, and these are the costs. And this is the point when both are the same. And in this case, it's 1 year. So here, this is the point when both of them are the same, they're equal. This is the payback time. And after that, you will see that the benefits will exceed the cost, which means that the project is actually making profit. The last way of selecting projects is actually the weighted scoring model. And it's a tool that we use to actually compare between different projects in terms of in terms of some selection criteria. Weighted scoring model is actually applied in many areas, and we're going to see a YouTube video to explain weighted scoring model because it is way clearer than the text here. And we're also going to get an exercise to help you understand and practice how to calculate weighted scoring model. So this is an example of weighted scoring model, and in this case we actually have 1, 2, 3, 4 projects, and we have criteria. We have ways of comparing between these different projects. Now the criteria is different from one project to another, or and it's different from one organization to another, and its importance, each criteria has an importance. So this criteria supports key business objective. It has a 25% weight. This is their importance. Provides positive NPV, 20%. This is its importance. Has strong customer support, 15%. Now the weight, the total weight is going to be out of 100. Now what happens is that we assign, we decide for each project how much they achieve of this of each criteria. So project 1 is supportive the key business objectives by 90%. And it actually has strong internal sponsor, 70%. And these are values that you predict. It's not fixed. Now, to calculate the score of each project, we multiply the weight by the score that was given to the project. The weight by the score, the weight by the score, and then we add them all together and we reach to a number. Now for each project we will have a different number. The higher, or the project with the highest number, is actually the project to be selected.